Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the art of creative nonfiction. How to take your own real-life experiences and turn them into stories that aren't just told, but are actually felt by your audience.
So, let's start with something I think we've all been through. And, yeah, it can be a little painful. You share a true story that was so powerful and so meaningful to you, but you look around the room and all you see are blank stares. The impact you felt just isn't landing. But hey, don't worry, it happens to the best of us. In this explainer, we're going to change that. We'll give you the essential tools and help you sidestep the common pitfalls to make sure your true stories don't just land, but they resonate deeply and unforgettably. Okay, first up, let's open your writer's toolbox. We're going to dive into the secret ingredients every creative nonfiction writer absolutely needs to craft a story that people just can't put down. Here they are: imagery, voice, character, setting, story, and insight. Now think of setting as your canvas and story as the skeleton that holds it all together. For today, we're going to really zoom in on the 4 tools that put the flesh on those bones and bring that whole thing to life.
Let's start with what might be the most powerful tool of all: imagery. This is that classic rule you've heard a million times: show, don't tell. It's all about creating an experience, making the reader feel something instead of just telling them what you felt.
For instance, you can just write, "I was sad," and that's fine. But describing looking into a cold cup of coffee or watching rain streak down a window pane, now you're making the reader feel that sadness with you. It becomes this shared experience, not just a simple report of facts.
Next up, let's talk about voice. Think of this as your unique fingerprint on the page. It's about letting your real, authentic personality and your specific way of looking at the world shine right through. It's the filter the reader sees everything through.
And this is a perfect example, right? That line doesn't just describe bad makeup. It shows us a narrator who is witty, a little bit critical, and maybe totally fed up. That's the power of a strong, authentic voice. It does so much work for you.
Of course, your true story isn't just about you. It involves other people. So the character tool is how you bring them to life on the page. It's about capturing who they are through their actions, their words, and those little specific details that just scream them. But, and this is a really critical, ethical line you cannot cross, you're not a mind reader. You can describe what your roommate did, or what they said. You can even describe their clenched fists. But you cannot write, "She was thinking about how much she hated me." The second you claim to know what's inside someone else's head, you've jumped from nonfiction right into fiction.
And this brings us to what is arguably the most important tool of them all: insight. This is the "so what" of your story. It answers that reader's question, why am I reading this? Why should I care? Insight is that gut punch moment of revelation, that takeaway that connects your personal story to some kind of universal truth. It's what makes it all worthwhile.
All right, so now that you've got the tools, let's flip the coin and look at the other side, the common traps that can absolutely sink a good story. Because honestly, knowing what not to do is just as important.
This first pitfall, we've all been on the receiving end of this one. It's the inside joke story. It's so easy to forget that our readers don't know our Uncle Bob or the whole backstory of our family vacations. You have to give a complete stranger just enough context to step into your world and get why this moment mattered.
And remember this, your story has to serve the drama, not a perfect historical record. So if you went to a party with 6 friends, but the real conflict only involved you and 2 of them, just focus on those 2. You have to simplify for the sake of a powerful story and cut any detail that doesn't push things forward.
Okay, next is a trap that is incredibly easy to fall into. Our lives are messy and complicated, right? But a good story needs clarity. You have to resist that urge to jump all over the place in time. A clear, straightforward narrative is almost always going to be more powerful.
This quote is the perfect example of what to avoid. I mean, the second a reader sees a sentence like that, their brain just stops processing the story and starts trying to solve a logic puzzle. And poof, you've lost them. Just keep your timeline clean.
And this brings us to the almost pitfall. Just look at the huge difference here. Stories about what could have happened are almost always a letdown. I almost got in an accident has 0 stakes. I lost my legs in an accident. Well, that changes a life. Focus on what actually happened. Focus on the real consequences.
So now we're going to move from craft to conscience. because writing about real life, about real people, comes with this huge responsibility. Let's dig into the deeper ethical questions you have to ask yourself before you even type a single word. This is it, the first, most fundamental question. A traumatic event that happened to your friend? Well, that's their story. First and foremost, sure, you might be a character in it, but you really have to ask yourself if you have the right to be the one to tell it to the world.
Next, you have to really think about how you're portraying other people. It is so easy to paint yourself as the hero and someone else as the villain. But is that fair? Is that really the whole truth? You've got to aim for a portrayal that's honest to your experience but not manipulative.
And finally, you've got to be smart about vulnerability. Sharing your truth is incredibly brave, but not every single detail is necessary for the story. You have to balance the power of honesty with what's actually needed, both for your own well-being and for the sake of your story's impact. So, after navigating all the tools, all the traps, and these really tough ethical questions, we get to the heart of it all, the undeniable power of this genre. I mean, why do we do this? Why does it even matter?
You know, when a reader picks up your story, you're making a kind of unspoken contract with them. And that contract is really simple. You are telling the truth as you know it. Yeah, this takes courage, but leaning into that discomfort, that's often where the most powerful human connection is made.
So we'll end on this thought. Every single one of us has experiences that are uniquely ours. There is an immense power in sharing your truth, in adding your voice to this huge human conversation. So the real question isn't whether you have a story to tell, it's which one is just waiting for you to write it.